Hi everyone, I'm Hui, and in this video we're going to go over a redundancy group use case available on our live demo system, Zine. Let's get into it. In our Roam view, there is a downlink service composed by antenna dishes receiving signals that are being fed to integrated receiver decoders through an RF matrix. Then the converted signals will travel through an IP network until they reach their destination. You will notice we have an additional IRD that is serving as a backup. We already covered how to configure redundancy groups on another video, link on the description, so for the moment we'll just give a quick glance at the current configuration of this setup in order to understand how the service will behave when facing problems. In the elements section, we can see there are three primary elements, IRD 1, 2, and 3. We have only one IRD serving as a backup. In the redundancy mode section, we are telling DataMiner to handle the switching automatically on its own. The switching logic determines the criteria to trigger the switching, as well as the logic to run when switching occurs. So, an IRD will switch over to the backup IRD when the element state of the primary IRD, in this case RD3, is critical. This is what should happen during the switch. We tend to use automation scripts to apply settings to the backup device based on the settings of the primary device, as well as configuring adjacent devices to adapt to the redundancy scenario. In this case, the downlink frequency used on the primary device needs to be set on the backup. Then it needs to set the appropriate cross points on the RF matrix to ensure the signal is fed to the backup IRD, and also route the signal to its intended destination. Then the switchback logic. We'll switch back from the backup to the primary IRD when the low noise block is back on. This is simply for demo purposes, so we can switch back by toggling it back on the visual overview. When it switches back, it will again restore the default cross points on the adjacent devices. And that's it for this device. The two subsequent IRDs are configured the exact same way. The switching detection specifies when a switch over or switch back is considered to be finished. You see, switching over is a process that can take some time. Parameters are being set and automation scripts are running. So, by specifying switching detection conditions, DataMiner can tell when the switching has been completed. So here, in this case, we'll consider the switch over from a primary IRD to the backup IRD to be completed by checking whether the signal is being really routed to the backup IRD simply by looking at the cross points. For the other way around, the switch back from a backup to a primary IRD is complete if the conditions above no longer apply. And that's the overview on the configuration of this redundancy demo setup. Let's now play around with it. If we take a look at the redundancy state, it is now available, meaning all primary devices are operational and backup devices are ready to take over. But when I turn off, say, IRD1, you can see DataMiner immediately switches over to make use of the backup IRD and ensure the signal still reaches its destination. Notice how the downlink frequency has changed to the same value that was set on the faulty IRD before. The redundancy state is now operational, meaning at least one backup device has taken over a primary. But now there are no more backup IRDs available, so when I turn off a second IRD, the redundancy state will change to error. That's because there are no more backups to accommodate another stream, so you have a problem. If I turn IRD1 back on, the backup IRD will now take over for IRD2 instead, returning the state back to operational. All signals are available again despite one IRD still being down. When I turn IRD2 back on, The switchback logic will kick in, routing the signal through the original devices and setting the redundancy state back to available. This setup is, as usual, available on our live demo system for you to try out. Also, give us a visit on our Open Dojo community. Don't forget to register to keep up with anything and everything ICT, media, and broadband. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one.